So, welcome to the podcast, Richard Parks, MBE. How are you, Richard? Are you well?
Hi Rob, yeah, everything's good. Pretty normal, except not doing too much else. Not
Yeah.
getting outside at all.
It's been really challenging times. 2020 has been quite a weird year, I suppose, for piping and drumming with everything cancelled. How have you found it yourself?
It has been. It's been strange, to have no practices, no competitions, no socializing. It's been like really difficult, to be quite honest. I'm sure it's difficult for everybody, but it's got a total um, change to your social activities and your social life. But I mean, it's put it this way, people in the past have been through worse, have been through world wars, so it's not that bad, but it's not usual for us. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Yeah, and I'm sure you're just exactly the same as the rest of us in the piping scene. You're bound to have missed the music this year.
Yeah, very much so. Miss being at band practices, miss getting new tunes out there, new melodies, having just putting the finishing touches to them, but never actually got them finished. So we've not actually heard them yet. So I'm quite excited about getting that all together whenever we get the chance to get the band together.
So well, you kind of preempted one of my questions. Actually, I was going to ask you, how are the band coping with lockdown and everything? Had you guys been working on new music and stuff for the new season and everything?
Well, we had during last winter,
Mm,
up until we had a big practice in February when it was the first time we got the new melodies on the floor with the drummers
yeah.
and all the guys in from Scotland. So it was a really positive practice, and things were going well. And everything wasn't finalized, but I mean, it never got any further than that because the lockdown happened, and
Yeah.
we haven't been getting together at all since then.
Oh, that's it. So that's what I was going to ask then. How have you guys been kind of keeping together? And I don't know, if you guys still motivated to play in that at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's individually motivated, but when you haven't got anything to work for, it's very difficult to motivate people. But
Yeah.
most of the players in the band do solo stuff, and they've been working on that. And at the beginning of lockdown, everybody was having a tune on Facebook and stuff, which
Yeah.
which was good. But then that sort of dies after a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have a WhatsApp group, and there's a lot of communication on that, and we've had a lot of Zoom meetings, but again, they can only do so much. Okay, you see people, but you can't really interact with them.
Yeah.
But that's the same for everybody. So you know it's down the list of priorities at the end of the day, and in the world, the pipe band scene. But I mean, it's very important to us all, and we've missed it.
Yeah, that's it. And as much as we're talking about the music and the playing, as you say, Richard, the social side of it too. Like, I don't know, I haven't seen folks now in months from the piping world. Yeah, I don't know. It's bound to have been difficult for everyone.
No, it's difficult for everybody, definitely.
Indeed. Now, we've had previous interviews here on the Big Rab Show when we're chatting to all our folks in the piping world and saying because they're not practicing and they're not going to band practice every 2 nights a week or whatever, they've actually filled their time with other stuff, picked up new hobbies. Have you picked up any new hobbies yourself, Richard?
Not actually a new hobby, but I used to do a fair bit of running, and
Aye.
more recently, like 2 years ago, I started doing the park runs. So I've put a lot of time into that. I've actually been running about 3 times a week,
Aye.
all
Happy
year.
days.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
had been doing that. I had been doing that before lockdown,
Hmm.
but when lockdown happened, and it wasn't at work, it made it easy, because you didn't have to go to work during the day, so we just went out for a
Yeah.
run every other day or every few days. So I've enjoyed that. But I'm still practicing. I'm still practicing every couple of days. Like when you get to my age, you have to keep the fingers moving. I remember one year I actually didn't practice for about 2 months in the winter, and when getting back to it was absolutely terrible.
Oh,
And
aye.
I'm not going to ever let that happen again. So I still keep playing the pipes every couple of days. Not every day, and sometimes not every other day, but 2 or 3 times or 4 times a week. I definitely am still playing through the stuff to keep the
Aye.
fingers moving.
Just as you say, to kind of work off the rust because it does set in. you know. Yeah,
No,
definitely.
it sets in, and the older you get, the quicker it sets in. But I mean, you asked me about anything else. So I've been doing a fair bit of running, and I'm going to keep that going, hopefully.
There you go. Great stuff. And it's good for you too. Definitely. Yeah. So fair play.
Yeah, it's
You know.
not great for the knees sometimes, but anyway,
There you
the
go.
downsides to everything.
Yeah. So I do know other folks out there are now turning into whiskey connoisseurs. They've turned into whiskey tasters, wine drinkers, and all sorts of food stuff. So myself included.
Yeah.
So I can maybe do with taking up the running. But yeah, I have a quick question. Actually, we've got a number of questions sent in from listeners of the show who's asking you for various different tips and advice. You mentioned about playing in different solo events and stuff, over the course of the season that didn't happen. Have you any tips for anyone competing in a solo event? We have people who are climbing through the ranks, and have you any advice for any solo players?
Well, I mean, I have judged a few events, and it's easy. It's not easy when you judge. There's things that stand out. The quality of the recording is ultimately important. I've seen players play really well, but the quality of the recording is so poor that it spoils the performance.
Yeah.
So when you're competing through a video, make sure that you've got the best quality video that you can get. And if you need to upgrade your equipment or whatever, do whatever you need to do. But have a look at it yourself and make sure that it's a really good quality recording, because the quality of the recording is very important in terms of judging a video event. When you get 5 or 6 players and then somebody comes on with a really good performance but a really poor recording, it's not the way you want to present yourself. Get yourself the best quality recording you can.
That's it. Quality is king, and it does kind of spoil it, if you can't hear or see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So no, I think that's good advice for sure. So yeah, you've obviously competed in solo events yourself, Richard. We've got another question from another soloist asking, how do you cope with performance anxiety? Have you ever suffered from nerves?
Oh yes.
You have?
Yeah, no, that I mean, nerves sometimes can be a good thing. It can help you peak at it gives you that wee bit of an edge sometimes. But what is very important is that you're well practiced. That you're not going to an event and you're not that well practiced. If you're well practiced and you do it in your living room every night and then you go, it's just like repeating that. But if you're not well practiced, then the nerves can make it worse. But if you're well practiced, the nerves can actually help your performance and give you that wee bit of an edge when you're actually performing. So the main thing is to be fully practiced and performance anxiety sometimes can come from the fact that you're not well practiced or you're a bit concerned about things. Be comfortable with your performance in your own house, in your own living room or whatever before you go and play in front of people. That's very important.
Before you tread the boards. Yeah, exactly. So that's actually quite a good one. That actually sharpens your senses, I suppose, if you're panicking a wee bit. Has there ever been a time that you've stood in the line at the Worlds and you're looked up and there's the big screen and there's the cameras and there's the crowd and you're going, oh,
every time.
It's bound to be daunting, yeah.
Oh, it is daunting, but I mean, it's what we all work for, at the end of the day, and it's the time you go and you stand, and you should be at that stage confident of your performance, even though you'll be nervous. Of course, you'll be nervous. Everybody's nervous, but if you're confident in the way the band's sounding and the way the band's going, then once you get the bag under your arm and you hit the E, then you're happy. All pipers are the same. Once it's the introduction, that's the main thing. You need to get the bag under your arm and hit the E.
And once you're there, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it indeed. So then again, we always have beginners and learners listening to the show, myself included, actually. Bet you didn't know that. I'm picking up the chanter for the first time.
I thought you were a drummer, Rob.
I am a drummer, but no, Andrew Shilliday's been teaching me how to pipe with Tully Lagan, and let's say Andrew has the patience of a saint. I'll say that.
Right. Good.
But yeah,
look forward to seeing you.
I don't know about that. I might not be in the grass anytime soon. But yeah, have you any tips then for beginners who are lifting the chanter for the first time?
Again, it's down to practice at the end of the day. It's practice your technique and your exercises. I know everybody wants to get onto tunes really quickly, and once you get onto tunes, it's still very important to go back and practice your technique, because I mean, even myself, when I started going for lessons with Jimmy Banks, he taught me when he was stationed over here with the Scots Guards. And the first thing he gave me was a sheet of exercises. So it didn't matter how well I was playing. There's a sheet of exercise. Go away and practice that for next week. So the main thing is to get your technique taught well, and then you need to keep practicing your technique at all stages. Even when you're on the pipes, playing tunes, playing in a band, you need to actually maybe start off your practice session every night with doing some technique exercises, and that will help everybody. The technique is king. And a wee bit of extra practice on that will never do any harm.
Does no harm at all. So that's our next question then. What does a normal practice session look like for either yourself or anyone else who play for Field Marshal? Do you guys work in the fundamentals, like skill, navigation, stuff like that, as well as thundering through big tunes, you know?
Well, that depends. You know, every individual, especially if they're playing solo. If you're playing solo, technique is really important. Obviously, technique in the band is important as well. But you know, for the band, you can get away with things that you don't get away with in solos. But I'm not saying. I mean, they still needs to be really good. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you know, really tightening up your doublings and stuff, and making sure you're hearing 2 grace notes for solos. Whereas in the band, you're not gonna hear that. But certainly, our individual practice, you know, my own personal practice would be, you know, concentrate one night on your MSRs, concentrate another night on your medleys, and make sure you play through them as you play through them at the band practice or at the competition. So that, as I said before, so it's second nature to you, so that you're not going to band practice not having practiced your medleys or your MSRs, so you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's all about being prepared for the band practice or for the competition. And for me personally, it's playing through the medleys, playing through the MSRs. You know, and then obviously to get warmed up, you play, you know, some stuff you like to play, you know, so.
That's it too. So you do still play for the joy of it though. You know, you do just play for the music's sake. Yeah.
You do, yeah. I mean, if you didn't enjoy the music, then you wouldn't be doing it. You know, you have to, I mean, there's a certain amount of discipline you have to play in any band, but you have to love it, and you have to love what you do, you know, so. Having said that, you know, I've been playing the 2 medleys through the whole of lockdown, you know, so.
There you go. So that's it. Now we're going to be rolling into 2021. We'll talk about hopefully new music and stuff going forward, but we still have more questions from our listeners. One such question came in. Actually, Andrew Shilloday asked this, so I'm throwing Andrew under the bus. He says, have you brought any skills from your day job as an engineer to your role in Field Marshal? An interesting question, that.
It is. It's a good question, actually. I think you could say that the way I think about my job is a similar way that I think about the band and about tuning up. A lot of things that I think about with regard to the band are all common sense based, you know, so, and it's similar in work. So the way I think about my work, I apply the same thought process to the band and getting the band sounding the best. I mean, people will see me positioning the band on the day of a competition the same way that'll be positioned in the circle, because the sun will have a different effect. You know, that's a common sense approach. But a lot of people don't do that. You know, everybody just goes and plays in a circle. But you need to think about, if you're going to be playing in the sun, in the circle, and where the sun's shining, you should be practicing with the sun shining in that position. You know, so that, to me, that's a common sense approach, and that's just one aspect of it. You know, about the band playing their pipes before they tune up. Everybody does the same thing, and for me, that's common sense, rather than one person goes and squeezes and licks his reed, and another person, you know, has had his chanter in his pipes, so that's 3 days. Everybody does exactly the same thing, which for me is common sense. So that's the sort of approach that I would have, the similar type of approach I would have in my work.
That's interesting. Yeah, so having like a systematic, kind of very clear course for everyone. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, there you go. So let me see, we've got another question in. What qualities do you look for in a player who may have an ambition someday to play for Field Marshal?
Well, it would be all the basics in terms of good technique, the ability, you know, to keep the pipes in tune for a long period of time, and a good attitude.
There you go. That's it. You have
So
to be able to work with them. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
See, that's it. You know, that a lot to be said for personalities. And like, people always say to me, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough." Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes if you're a good guy and you can get along, you can get good enough. You can practice enough. So you know. So there's a
Yeah.
lot on the personality front, Richard. I think too. Yeah.
No, there isn't. It's in like all organizations, you know, you need to have a good blend of personalities within your group or your organization. So
Yeah.
that's key to it, as well as all of the technique and the playing issues. You need to have a good attitude as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's definitely a very clear answer there. Yeah, thank you. So we have a questions come in from somebody who's involved in tuition, and this last while they've been struggling trying to get a work-life balance because they're teaching all the time because now you're doing it online, so there's no real 9 to 5. Have you ever kind of delved into the world of tuition and all of that kind of stuff? And then how do you balance it with band life, work life, and everything else?
Well, I mean, depends what you're doing. Obviously, you have to have time for yourself away from piping and away from teaching. You need to have time, and I think that's key. You need to have time within the week when you're not doing anything with regard to piping and you're doing something
Yeah.
more normal, let's just say. But you need to have time when you can help people, as well. So I'll tell you what. One thing that I did, we were doing the last concert we did in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed, because it's so much music, and I said I need to give myself more time to learn music. When am I going to do it? So what I ended up doing was I started getting up earlier, going to work earlier, leaving earlier, so that I had an extra 45 minutes at the end of the day to put some time into the practice. And I've
Yes.
actually continued to do that. So when I get up at 10 to 6 every morning, so I'm in work for 7:30, and I get away at 4. So I've given myself an extra 45 minutes or an hour at the end of the day when I can do things, either it's practice or go for a run or whatever. So
Yeah.
giving myself a bit more time to do something, to do something you want to do.
It's all on your own time management, basically.
It
Yeah,
is. It is.
exactly. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for our listener questions. So, thank you everyone who sent those into us. But yeah, I've got some questions as well. Richard, have you ever lifted the sticks? Have you ever been tempted to lift these and give it a go?
Only very badly, Rob. Only very badly. Yeah.
Oh,
No, not good. Not good. I've seen people that can do it, but I can't. No. So
that's it.
I've
The reason I'm
tried,
at,
but
that's it. The reason I'm asking is because obviously I've been a drummer for years. So I'm lifting the chanter and I'm laughing at myself doing it, thinking, this is a disaster. So no, I just figured I would ask. Yeah.
no,
There you
I've
go.
tried, but no good. Although I
Ah,
haven't said that, my brother always says that when we were first in the band hall, it was Raffrey, or no, it wasn't Raffrey. It was a band called the Pikestone, where we went to for our very first band practice when we were like
mm.
9 and 10 or something like that. And my brother says that whenever they asked who wanted to be a drummer, I think I put my hand up. So,
Oh,
so he
really?
says, I don't actually remember that, but he says that that's the case. So
There you go. That
I'll
could have
let
been
him
a
off.
very different road for you, Richard. Yeah.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't be speaking just now, Rob.
Oh dear. Well, I have to talk about 2020. It has been such a difficult year with everything cancelled, and it's just quite depressing. But we are starting to see light at the end of the tunnel now. We've heard various associations around the world hopefully planning for a new season in 2021. Are you looking forward to next year?
Yeah, I just really hope that we get some sort of a pipe band season, even if it's later in the year. The way things are looking at the minute is that I don't see any pipe bands practicing inside,
No,
given that
that's
there's
yeah.
no scientific studies have been done to find out exactly what happens with the bagpipes. There have been some things out there, but nothing that's really been focused on it. So really, we're probably depending on the vaccine, and we're probably depending on this quick test thing that they're talking about, which,
Mm,
at least if you knew you didn't have it, then you could obviously get together, and if there was a possibility that a number of people could be tested, like the whole band could be tested before a practice, something like that could
yeah.
possibly work. Or the vaccine, which is the big hope for everybody. And if the vaccine works to the level that they say it's going to be, then there will be some normality coming back, which is the really the light at the end of the tunnel. But that's going to be sort of after spring next year. You know, they're talking about 3 to 6 months for the vaccine. So, you know, there won't be any indoor practice, I don't think, for the next few months. So until the vaccine gets rolled out. And then, you know, if that's the case, then we're going to be looking at outdoor practice. When you're not going to be doing that before April or May, you know, at the earliest.
That's it, yeah.
So,
And by the
but
time you're able,
I think what we need to do is actually plan that there's going to be a season next year. And okay, the Zoom stuff, you know, for socializing was good, but for next year, I think if we've got a season happening, then towards the end of January, into February, then we need to start getting together and doing one-on-ones on Zoom and making sure everybody is up to speed. And hopefully, if we can see there is a plan for a season, then that will give people the motivation to do that. And that's, we need to have a season next year, just to something to aim for everybody.
That's it. Even if it is only a handful of competitions, you know, 2 or 3, that would be enough. I think people would be happy with that, you know.
Yeah, and like if they were able to say the world is going to happen, you know, whatever. If the world is going to happen, then well, you know, we'll all be working for it, won't we? You know, so
definitely, yeah. And you're going to have to tie me to this chair to keep me away. I really missed the Worlds this year. I'm sure you did too, Richard. Yeah. How did you find Worlds Week?
Yeah, it just didn't. Nothing happened. It didn't even resonate, to be quite honest. You know, when you New World's Day and there were a few things on the internet which were really good, but it wasn't the same. You know, you need to be there.
That's it, indeed. Yeah, as much as watching videos and live streams and stuff, there's nothing like being there in person. I have to agree. Yeah. So going forward then into 2021, you're hoping that bands are going to start practicing again. If FM managed to grip up together again and we have you guys back on the grass, will we be having any new music from you?
Well, as I said earlier, we had 2 new medleys prepared because the year before was the first year that we didn't win a major in many's a long year. So that really did motivate us, and that motivates me as well, because there was things I analysed what we did during the year, and I analysed what we could have done different. And when you look at the end of the Worlds result at the end of the day, we lost the Worlds by 3 points. And that's a very close margin over 4 competitions. So, you know, I looked at a few things. I thought, well, I can see where we could have got those 3 points. So hopefully I've employed that into the 2 new medleys that we put together, and we can go forward with that. But, you know, the fact that we didn't win a major motivated us for 2020, which didn't happen. So hopefully that motivation will still be there for 2021. It's certainly there with me, and hopefully I can instill that into everybody within the band.
I'm sure it will be there, Richard. No doubt at all. And if anything, I can't wait to see us back on the grass again. I'll say that.
You know, I can't wait either.
That's it indeed. So we have some Big Rab Show staples that we have to ask everyone who comes on the show. Now, we already know what your favorite cheese is, so we've asked you that before. But are you a fan of pineapple on pizza?
No.
Good man.
Definitely not. No,
it doesn't belong there at all.
No. I like well, the usual stuff on pizza, like a hot pizza as well, pepperoni or whatever. But
no, that's
not for
no
me.
business.
Not for me.
Definitely not. Have you seen the fashion trend in the pipe band world with yellow flashes? Would you be a fan of yellow flashes?
Absolutely not. You know what? I've not seen it. I'm going to have to look out for it now, but no, definitely not yellow flashes. No.
If you ever see someone wearing yellow flashes, you'll notice them. They really stand out. You know, it's what, yellow flashes? That's a choice.
No. But it used to be everybody wore white socks. You look back at old videos now, everybody wore white socks, and you know the coloured socks look far better, I have to say now. But back in the day, everybody wore white socks.
That's it. And I remember wearing those white hose, and then at the end of the day, they were nearly black at some competitions. That's right. They were a nightmare to keep clean. But yes, let me see. Another Big Rab Show question is, Richard, have you got a most embarrassing moment in piping that you can share with us?
Well, actually, yes, I do, and
Uh-oh.
it changed. It changed what I do since, and I'll let you know what it is. I remember there was one band bridge competition. It must have been in the late 90s or early 2000. I can't remember. And generally, I would go to a pipe band competition in my normal clothes and have my kilt hung up behind, and my jacket and everything hung up in the car.
In the car. Mm-hmm.
Right. So everything was out on the Friday night, waiting to go on the Saturday morning. And there was a guy traveling with me. Scott Drummond was traveling with me that morning. So loaded up the car, drove down to Band Bridge, got out of the car with the jeans on, went to look for my kilt. No kilt.
Oh, no.
No kilt, right? Band Bridge, right? We're playing in like probably 2 hours. It's like 45 minutes back and 40. I can't go back.
Oh, nightmare.
So, no. So I did have my cape, right? So I ended up, this is panic station. It's like, what am I going to do? And do you borrow a kilt from somebody? How can you borrow a kilt from somebody? Because what are they going to wear? So right, okay. So what I did was we had Trevor Buckley was tenor drummer in the band that day, and I gave him my keys and sent him back to the house to try and get my kilt back before the competition, right? Unfortunately, he didn't make it. So what I did was I put all the rest of the uniform on: shirt, tie, jacket, shoes, socks, the rest, and put the cape on.
Yeah.
Now, lucky enough, it was raining that day, so it was well justified in having the cape on. But at the end, it's coming like half an hour before the band was playing. It didn't matter if Trevor got back with the kilt, I wasn't putting it on there anyway. So I ended up having to go on and play with my cape on and no kilt. Now, the rest of the band didn't wear a cape, so I was wearing a cape to play that day.
That's brilliant.
And since that day, I traveled to the competition in my uniform every day. And I never travel in my clothes and bring unless it's overseas. But yeah, so
that's
I played without my kilt.
That's a story and a half. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Richard, honestly, for chatting to us on the Rab Show podcast. And it's great to have you back on the show. And can you please send our best to the rest of the guys and the bands and to yourself as well? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. And yourself and all the followers of the show, let's get out there and see everybody again in 2021 at some point.
Exactly. And at this point, we should wish you a Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, Rob. Yes, have a good restrained party.
Oh, well, yeah. Thanks very much, Richard. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Rob.